The sky was dark with smoke, and the ground was shaking with distant explosions. Ethan, a young human engineer, was running through the ruins of a forgotten city. He was not a soldier, not a fighter, just a smart guy trying to survive. He had been fixing a broken satellite tower when enemy drones spotted him. Now he was running for his life. His breath was heavy and his hands were shaking. He found a narrow tunnel under the rubble and crawled inside. The sound of drones faded away, and silence filled the air. But just as he started to relax, he heard something strange, a loud crash, then metal clashing against metal, then a deep growl, not human at all, curious and scared. Ethan moved closer to the sound. He reached the edge of the tunnel and peeked out. What he saw was something he would never forget. In the middle of a destroyed plaza, 6 robotic killers surrounded a tall alien woman. She was at least 7 feet tall, covered in dark silver armor with glowing red marks. Her hair was long and silver blue, floating slightly like it had a life of its own. Her face was full of pain, but also full of fire. She held a heavy double-edged blade, swinging it with all her strength, but she was injured. One of her legs was bleeding dark purple, and her left arm was not moving. The robots moved fast, like trained hunters, but she was still faster, even with her wounds. She managed to destroy 2 of them with one mighty spin. Ethan watched in shock, frozen, unable to move. He had seen aliens before, on screens, in secret files, but never like this. This was not just any alien, this was a warrior, fighting to her last breath. One robot jumped on her back and stabbed her with an electric spike. She screamed, dropped to her knees, and her sword fell too. The ground, the other robots surrounded her, weapons ready to finish her. And that's when Ethan did something crazy. He didn't run, he didn't hide. Instead, he jumped out from his hiding spot and shouted, "Hey, over here!" The robots turned toward him for just 1 second. It was enough. Ethan pulled out a small control device from his belt, something he had built himself. He aimed it at a broken generator nearby and overloaded it. The machine exploded in a burst of fire and electricity, blasting 3 robots into pieces. The last one turned to him, but before it could shoot, the alien woman used her last strength to stab it from behind. Silence again. The battle was over. Ethan stood there, breathing fast, staring at the alien warrior. She was lying on the ground, her body shaking, eyes glowing dimly. He slowly walked toward her, unsure what to do. He looked into her eyes. They were full of pride, but also fear, pain, and something else. "Trust, you saved me," she whispered, her voice rough and broken. Then she grabbed Ethan's wrist with surprising strength. "Now, you belong to me." Ethan's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" he asked, confused, but before she could answer, the ground began to tremble again. The sky rumbled like thunder was coming. But it wasn't thunder. It was something else. Something big. The alien woman looked up with fear in her eyes. "They found me," she said. "We must move, or we both die." Ethan helped her stand, putting her arm around his shoulder. She was heavy, but he didn't care. He had questions, 1,000 questions, but no time for answers. Together, they limped toward the shadows of the broken city. Away from the noise, away from the sky. Behind them, deep in the clouds, red lights started to appear. Strange ships shaped like knives flew low over the buildings, scanning everything. They were not here to help. They were hunting, and now Ethan was part of it. Whatever this alien warrior was running from, whatever secret she held, Ethan had stepped into a war far bigger than he had ever imagined. But it was too late to walk away now. The cave was silent, but Ethan's heart was loud. He sat beside a dying fire, staring at the strange alien woman lying across from him. Her armor was cracked, her breathing shallow, her silver blue hair tangled in dirt and blood. But even like this, she looked powerful, like a sleeping storm waiting to rise again. Hours ago, she had called him hers. Now she lay unconscious, burning with fever, whispering in a language he could not understand. He didn't even know her name. He didn't know why he risked his life for her. He only knew one thing, something about her felt important, like she was not just a soldier, but something more. Ethan opened his small toolkit and carefully worked on her wounds. Her blood was thick and glowing, slowly cooling down like melted stars. He wrapped her leg with nano bandage and replaced one of her armor plates with a metal piece from his backpack. She winced but didn't wake, whatever she had been through. It was worse than anything he had ever imagined. Then suddenly, she opened her eyes. Ethan jumped back as her glowing red eyes locked onto him, but she didn't attack. She sat up slowly, looked at her surroundings, then at him. "Human," she said, her voice softer than before. "Why did you help me?" Ethan didn't know what to say. "I saw you were going to die," he answered. "I couldn't just walk away." She looked at him for a long moment, then gave a small nod. "I am Zalara," she said, "commander of the Nova Guard, daughter of the twin sons of Virex." Ethan blinked. "I'm Ethan from Earth, and I fix broken machines." A strange silence passed between them. Then Zalara smiled, just a little. "You may be more than that," she whispered. Ethan asked the question that had been burning in his mind. "Why were those things trying to kill you? Who were they?" Zalara's eyes turned hard. "Assassins," she said. "Sent by the High Empire." Ethan frowned. "Your own people?" She nodded, her voice low. "There was a rebellion," she said. "I refused to follow the new orders to burn, to erase, to conquer without mercy. They marked me a traitor, hunted me across 5 star systems." Her hands clenched into fists. "I came to Earth to hide, to find something old, something forgotten." Ethan leaned in. "What are you looking for?" She hesitated, then reached inside her armor and pulled out a small crystal, black and glowing with tiny stars inside. "This," she said, "a memory core from before the Empire." Ethan stared at it, fascinated. "What's inside it?" "The truth," she said, "and maybe hope." Suddenly, the cave lit up with a strange hum. The crystal began to glow brighter, reacting to something, or someone. Zalara looked at Ethan with wide eyes. "It's reacting to you," she said. "That should not be possible." Ethan stepped back, confused. "Me? Why?" She grabbed his wrist again, staring at his hand. "Your DNA. It's not just Earthborn," she said. "There is something ancient in you." Before Ethan could speak, a loud screech echoed through the cave. Red lights flashed in the sky. "Outside, they found us," Zalara whispered, standing up with effort. "We have to move now." Ethan grabbed his backpack, still full of tools and spare parts. "Where do we go?" "To the place where this crystal belongs," she said. "Your planet holds more secrets than your people remember." Outside, flying machines with glowing red eyes scanned the ruins. Inside, a human and an alien warrior stood side by side. 2 strangers tied by fate, and somewhere high above Earth, a new order watched them from the stars. They knew Zalara had survived, but now they had seen something far more dangerous, a human awakening. The dream was not his, but Ethan could see it clearly. He was floating in a black sky, stars whispering in a language older than time. A burning planet spun below him, covered in fire, and in the center of it all stood a child with glowing red eyes reaching out to him. Then the voice came, not loud but deep, as if the universe itself was speaking. "You are the key." Ethan woke with a sharp gasp, his heart racing. He sat up, sweat covering his face, breathing fast. Zalara was already awake, standing near the cave entrance, watching the horizon. "Another dream?" she asked without turning around. Ethan nodded slowly, still shaking. "It felt real," he said, "like it was showing me something." She looked back at him, her eyes filled with something close to fear. "That crystal is waking up memories inside you," she said. "Memories not from your life, but your bloodline." Ethan stood up, brushing dirt off his jacket. "You think I'm part alien?" Zalara didn't answer. but her silence spoke louder than words. Instead, she pointed to the sky. 3 small dots were moving in perfect formation, quiet, fast, deadly. "They found our trail," she said. "We move now." They ran. Deeper into the ruins of the dead city. The buildings were broken bones of steel and glass, forgotten by time. Ethan had grown up hearing stories about this place. Once a research zone, now a ghostland, but today it was hiding 2 fugitives from the stars. As they moved, Zilara explained more. "The bounty hunters are not machines," she said. "They are something worse. Bioskin assassins, half living, half coded. They can look like anything, even like you." Ethan frowned. "You mean they can pretend to be human?" "Yes," she said. "They are already here." At that moment, a sound behind them made them stop. Footsteps. Soft, measured, too perfect. They turned and saw a man in a black coat walking toward them. He looked normal, almost friendly, but his smile was too still, too empty. Zilara reached for her blade instantly. "Don't move," the man said in a calm, cold voice. "We only want the traitor." Ethan stepped forward, heart pounding. "She's not a traitor," he said. "She's—" The man's eyes turned solid white, and his hand transformed into a weapon. A second later, energy beams shot through the air, missing Ethan's head by inches. Zilara pushed Ethan aside and charged, moving like lightning. She sliced the man's arm clean off. But he didn't scream. Instead, his body started repairing itself. Metal growing like flesh. "Run!" Zilara shouted. "I'll hold him." "No," Ethan yelled back. "We run together." He grabbed a flash grenade from his belt, one of his own designs, and threw it at the attacker. It exploded with a blinding white light, giving them just enough time to escape. They sprinted through broken corridors and twisted tunnels, chased by echoing footsteps and strange screeches. Behind them, the city began to shift. Doors opening, signals flashing, like it was waking up from a long sleep. Finally, they reached an old elevator shaft. Zilara smashed the panel, revealing ancient tech buried inside. "This lift leads to Sector 0, she said, panting. "We need to go there." "What's in Sector 0? Ethan asked, trying to catch his breath. She looked at him with burning eyes. "The thing I came to Earth to find," she said. "A vault. Built by your ancestors." Before Ethan could answer, a metallic hand burst through the wall, grabbing his shoulder. One of the bounty killers had caught up, face twisted into something inhuman. Ethan screamed, struggling to break free. Zilara swung her blade, cutting the hand off, and kicked the attacker down the shaft. Then she turned to Ethan, holding his face gently. "They will not stop," she said. "Not until one of us is dead." The elevator began to move, creaking and groaning as it sank into the dark. Down below, something ancient was waiting, something that knew Ethan's name before he was even born. Above, the bounty hunters watched from the shadows. They didn't follow, not yet. They knew what lay in Sector 0, and they knew Ethan was walking straight toward it. Not to escape, but to awaken. The elevator groaned like an old beast waking from a long sleep. Dust fell from the ceiling as it slowly sank deeper beneath the earth. Ethan stared into the dark tunnel ahead, feeling something heavy in his chest. It wasn't just fear, it was something else, something calling to him. Zilara stood beside him, silent, her blade ready. She hadn't spoken a word since they entered the shaft. Her face was calm, but her eyes told another story. She was afraid, not of death, not of pain, but of what waited down below. The elevator came to a stop, and the doors opened with a hiss. A strange light spilled out, blue, soft, almost alive. Ethan stepped out first, heart pounding in his ears. Before him stood a massive hall carved from stone and metal. Alien symbols danced along the walls, glowing faintly as if reacting to his presence. "This place," Ethan whispered. "It feels familiar." Zilara nodded slowly. "It should. It was built by your ancestors." Ethan turned sharply. "Wait, you're saying humans built this?" Solara walked forward, her voice low. Long ago, before the Empire, Earth was part of something greater. Humans were explorers, scientists, guardians of ancient knowledge. But the Empire feared your kind, your potential. So, they erased your history. Ethan stood still, trying to take it all in. All my life. We were told we were alone. Solara touched the wall, and a hidden door opened silently. Inside was a small chamber, quiet, glowing, with a single chair in the center. Above it floated a glowing orb of pure energy, pulsing like a heartbeat. The vault's heart, she said. It needs a key. Ethan looked around. I don't have a key. Yes, you do, she said, pointing to his chest. It's you, before he could speak. The orb moved toward him, slowly, carefully. Then it stopped just inches from his skin. A sudden flash. Memories exploded in his mind. Not his memories, but echoes of others, of battles, of stars burning, of ancient humans standing side by side with alien races. He collapsed to his knees, shaking. Solara rushed to his side, holding him. I didn't know it would be this strong, she said, her voice cracking. You are waking up the past. Then came a sound, sharp, mechanical. Close the bounty. Hunters had found them. Solara stood, blade in hand, blocking the entrance. Stay behind me, she said. But Ethan stood too. His body glowing faintly, his eyes sharper, clearer. No, he said. I have to fight. You'll die, she said. You're not ready. I don't care, he replied. You saved me, now it's my turn. She looked at him for a moment, then gave the smallest nod. Together, they faced the doorway as shadows moved in the dark. 3 bounty hunters stepped inside. Silent, fast, deadly, they attacked without warning. Solara fought like lightning, but this time, Ethan didn't run. He moved faster than before, almost as if something inside him was guiding his hands. He grabbed a broken power rod and fused it with a fallen weapon, creating a device mid-battle. It pulsed with energy and exploded, knocking 2 hunters down. But the third one grabbed Solara, slamming her into a wall. Ethan screamed and tackled the creature, but it overpowered him easily. It raised a blade to strike. And then the vault reacted. The orb in the chamber flashed blinding white. Energy flowed through Ethan like fire and thunder. He didn't scream, he didn't run. He simply looked at the attacker, and the creature stopped, frozen in place. Then it shattered. Like glass, crumbling into nothing. Solara gasped, staring at him in shock. What did you just do? She whispered. Ethan stood there, glowing softly. I don't know, he said, but I think I made a choice. He looked down at his hands, then at the orb, now floating beside him like it was waiting for a command. I think this thing listens to me. Solara approached slowly, still in awe. You've activated the vault, she said. You've become part of it. Suddenly, alarms echoed from above. Hundreds of red lights on a panel began to blink. The Empire knows, she said. They're coming with an army. Ethan turned to her. Calm, steady. Then we finish this, he said. No more running. And in that moment, Solara knew. The quiet human who once fixed machines had just become a warrior. He should have felt pain, but he didn't. He should have been afraid, but he wasn't. Ethan stood in the center of the vault chamber, glowing like a living star, his eyes reflecting blue fire. The orb hovered beside him, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. The walls around him responded with waves of light, like the vault itself was alive and listening. Solara stared from a distance, frozen. The human she had dragged into this war, weak, confused and untrained, was gone. What stood before her now felt ancient, familiar, and yet impossible. Ethan, she said carefully, can you hear me? He turned slowly, and his voice came out soft but steady. I can hear everything, he said, not just you. I can hear the machines above, the engines warming, the soldiers breathing in their armor. I can hear the stars. Solara took a step forward, her blade still in her hand. What happened to you? Ethan looked at his hands, glowing veins, sparks dancing under his skin. I think the vault unlocked something, he said. Something that was always inside me. She nodded, her voice low. You're awakening. He walked past her, the orb following him like a loyal pet. I'm not just waking up, he said. I'm becoming something else. Suddenly, a hologram flickered to life in the center of the vault. An ancient figure appeared, human, old, wearing robes of light and symbols long forgotten. It spoke with a voice that echoed through their bones. Welcome, Echo Blood, the last of the ancient line. The Guardian has returned, Ethan blinked. Guardian? Solara stepped closer, shocked. The Guardians were a legend, she said. Humans who could command the vaults, reshape systems, heal or destroy entire worlds with thought. But they were wiped out, erased from all records. The hologram continued. The vault is yours, Guardian. But power must come with wisdom, or it will burn your soul. The vision faded, and silence returned. Ethan turned to Solara. They trusted us once, he said. And now? I've inherited something I don't understand. She touched his shoulder. Then we learn together, she said. But we must hurry. Above them, alarms blared louder, and tremors shook the walls. Empire dropships were landing, hundreds of soldiers preparing to storm the vault. Solara pulled up her wrist device and showed a live scan, red dots flooding the screen. Closing in fast. We don't have time to escape, she said. They will be here in minutes. Ethan stepped forward and placed his hand on the vault's center panel. It glowed brightly, then split into 3 paths, one toward the surface, one deeper underground, and one into the unknown. He chose the unknown. We're not running, he said. We're going to find the others. Solara's eyes narrowed. What others? Ethan turned to her, calm and certain. There are more vaults, he said. More Guardians like me. This war is bigger than Earth, bigger than your rebellion. But how do you know that? She asked. He smiled faintly. Because I can feel them calling. They entered the hidden path, the walls glowing brighter with every step. Ancient tech awakened as they moved. Lights turning on, air growing warm, machines clicking to life. The vault was not dead. It had simply been waiting. But Ethan's transformation wasn't finished. As they walked, his mind filled with strange symbols. Maps, coordinates, forgotten codes. He saw flashes of battles across galaxies, human voices. Lost in time, memories that were not his, yet felt like his own. Then pain returned, sharp and sudden. He collapsed, clutching his head, screaming. The orb hovered around him, trying to stabilize his energy. Solara knelt beside him, fear returning to her voice. You're burning from inside, she said. You're not ready for this power. Ethan looked at her, eyes flickering between blue and gold. I don't think I have a choice, he whispered. I've already started changing. The path ended at a vast chamber, filled with holographic planets, broken statues of ancient humans, and one message glowing in red. Guardian Protocol. Reactivation imminent. Solara looked at the glowing map, then back at Ethan. If we activate this signal, she said, the entire galaxy will know you're alive. The Empire will double their armies. But the rebels, they might find us too. Ethan stood tall, hands shaking but spirit unbroken. He had left behind the old world, the old rules, the old fear. Now he had to choose what kind of guardian he would become. He reached for the signal, fingers trembling. And with one final breath, he whispered, "Let them come." Asterisk. The signal had been sent, and the stars were no longer silent. Far above Earth's orbit, the dark side of the moon lit up with activity. Hidden fleets awakened, buried weapons unfolded. Like blooming meadow flowers, across the galaxy, lost rebel outposts flared to life, and in the Empire's central command, alarms howled like ghosts, screaming in ancient corridors. The Guardian was alive. Ethan stood in the heart of the vault, the signal still glowing behind him. He had done it, and there was no going back now. His body shook with energy, his veins lit like circuits. His mind full of voices, maps, faces, languages he had never learned but somehow understood. He had become more than human. but he had never felt more afraid. Solara stood beside him, armor repaired, blade sharpened, eyes fierce. "The Empire will strike first," she said. "They will come with everything," Ethan nodded. "Then we fight." Suddenly, the ground shook and the ceiling groaned as dust fell like soft rain. The Empire had arrived. A red hologram appeared in front of them, a tall figure in a crown of metal and light, cold eyes, sharp voice, and a name spoken with fear across worlds. "Executor Malveth. Human," he said. "You are a virus reborn from a grave we buried long ago. You had your age, and we erased it. You are nothing but a forgotten echo." Ethan stepped forward, his voice calm but burning. "I am not an echo," he said. "I am the storm coming back." The hologram smiled, then vanished. Moments later, fire rained from the sky. Empire ships pierced the clouds, black and sharp like blades. Drop pods slammed into the ground, releasing troops with red armor and white glowing rifles. The battle for Earth had begun. Solara grabbed Ethan's arm. "The vault can defend itself," she said, "but only if you command it." Ethan closed his eyes, reached into the light around him, and whispered to the vault. The walls came alive, forming turrets and barriers, activating old defense drones buried in the stone. It wasn't enough to win, but it was enough to slow them down. Outside, chaos ruled the skies. Old rebel groups joined the fight. Ships rising from deserts, oceans, and even broken satellites. For the first time in centuries, humans and aliens fought side by side, not as enemies, but as survivors. Ethan and Solara moved through the battlefield like twin flames. He used the vault's energy to disable weapons, protect his allies, and bend enemy machines to his will. She struck like lightning, fierce and silent, defending him at every turn. Together, they were hope made real, but war has a cost, one of. The enemy soldiers disguised in rebel armor reached the command post. A suicide blast tore through the center, throwing Ethan into a wall and shattering part of the vault's core. Ethan lay on the ground, bleeding, the energy fading from his skin. Solara ran to him, her voice breaking. "Don't you dare die on me," she said, gripping his hand. Ethan smiled weakly. "I'm not done yet." The vault flickered, damaged, unstable. The orb hovered over Ethan, trying to repair him, but it was weak too. Solara stood up and looked around. Their forces were falling back, losing ground. They needed something big. She turned to Ethan, eyes filled with a terrible idea. "There is one more protocol," she said. "A reset. It will destroy the Empire's troops. But it might take you too." Ethan sat up slowly, coughing blood. "If that's what it takes," he said, "do it." She hesitated, tears forming. "You are more than just a weapon," she whispered. "You are what we lost, a real leader." Ethan took her hand and placed it on the control panel. "Then believe in me," he said, "and light the fire." The final sequence began. A tower rose from the heart of the vault, glowing brighter than anything the sky had ever seen. The Empire's ships froze, their systems confused. Soldiers paused mid-attack as their weapons shorted out, and then, silence, a pulse of white energy burst outward, not a blast, not a weapon, but a message, a truth broadcasted across the stars. "We are human, we remember, we return," all across the galaxy. Forgotten humans and lost allies looked up at the stars, and for the first time in centuries, they felt hope. Ethan fell to his knees, drained, his body shaking. Solara caught him, holding him close. "You did it," she said. "You brought them back." But Ethan's eyes were fading, glowing soft like a dying sun. He looked up at her, smiled one last time, and whispered, "One more part, then it's over." Time slowed. The battlefield was silent, but the sky still burned with the light of everything Ethan had awakened. His body floated just above the cracked stone floor of the vault, wrapped in soft blue energy, not quite alive, not yet gone, caught between what he was and what he was becoming. Solara stood below him, one hand over her heart, one over the control panel. She had seen victory, but not the way she wanted. The Empire's forces had fallen back, their ships fleeing the system like shadows chased by light. But the price was written across Ethan's fading face. "Don't leave me," she whispered, voice shaking. "You said we had one more part." Ethan opened his eyes slowly, not glowing. "Now just human again." He smiled faintly, weak but peaceful. "I didn't mean just the story," he said. "I meant the future." Suddenly, the orb from the vault rose between them, spinning faster than ever. It split into pieces, floating around Ethan like stars, forming a circle of energy. Zalara stepped back, her blade trembling in her hand. "What's happening?" she asked. The vault spoke, not in words, but in feeling, in emotion. Images poured into her mind. Ancient guardians, a new path, a rewritten history, a second chance for the galaxy. Then she understood. Ethan wasn't dying, he was becoming something else, something the galaxy had forgotten or feared. A true rewrite, the last command of the ancient humans, a living being who could reshape memory, systems, and even reality itself. But it came with a cost. To rewrite the galaxy's memory, Ethan would need to give up his own, all of it. Zalara stepped forward, reaching for him. "You don't have to do this," she said. "You already saved." U.S. Ethan looked at her, eyes soft. "You saved me first," he said. "You gave me something to fight for." She reached up and touched his face one last time. He leaned into her hand, then closed his eyes and whispered, "Rewrite." The vault exploded in light, pure and white, like morning breaking through. 1,000 years of darkness, it shot through Earth's skies, into deep space, into every system, every forgotten corner of the galaxy. It rewrote what was lost, restored what was buried, and reminded all beings of a truth older than stars. Humans were not weak, they were not forgotten, they were the beginning. When the light faded, the vault was silent. The orb was gone, and so was Ethan. Zalara stood alone in the ruins, tears in her eyes but a fire in her heart. She looked up at the sky, now filled with ships from every race, every corner of the stars coming home. The signal had reached them. And they had returned, not for war, but for unity. Years passed, and stories were told. Of a guardian who rose from Earth, of a warrior who stood beside him, of a galaxy that had forgotten its past and found it again. Children on distant worlds would ask, was he real? Did the human really rewrite the stars? And Zalara, now a leader of many worlds, would always smile and say, yes. But he didn't just rewrite the stars. He rewrote what it meant to be human, and sometimes, late at night, when the wind touched the old ruins of the vault, one might hear a whisper, soft and kind. "One more part. I'm still here."